If you're enjoying the stories I share, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support truly inspires me to keep writing and sharing more. Thank you so much. Now, let's dive into today's story. I told my husband I was attending a work dinner. Technically, there wasn't a lie. There was an official event happening that night. Just not the one I was at, and certainly not just a few feet from where he happened to be sitting. It all began harmlessly, or at least, that's the excuse I gave myself. My name is Naomi, I'm 33 years old, and I've been married to Evan for 6 years. He's the dependable type, calm, orderly, the kind of man who organizes our Tupperware drawers by size and color. Once upon a time, our life felt like an adventure. We'd take spontaneous road trips, dance barefoot in the kitchen past midnight, and leave each other flirty notes tucked into jacket pockets. But somewhere between climbing the corporate ladder and paying bills, the spark fizzled. We turned bland, routine, like coffee that's been sitting too long warm but not quite worth finishing. Then Nathan came into the picture. He was new to our marketing team. Self-assured, with a bit of an edge, always wearing slightly creased shirts like ironing wasn't worth his time. He noticed me, not in a sleazy way, but in that slow-burning, magnetic kind of way that makes you forget you're not 16 anymore. It began with playful teasing, exchanged looks during meetings, and then, after a celebratory night out with the team, it happened to kiss in the backseat of an Uber. That was 2 months ago. I swore to myself it would end there. I was married, I had a good man, but then Nathan asked if I was attending the Friday night client mixer, a fancy gathering at some overpriced rooftop lounge downtown. Evan had mentioned he'd be staying late for work and grabbing dinner with his boss. It seemed like the perfect cover. I told Evan I had a business dinner, nothing unusual. I slipped into a red dress I hadn't worn in years, the kind that practically begged to be noticed. And Nathan noticed. We laughed, drank too much, whispered private jokes into our glasses. When his hand rested on the curve of my back, I didn't stop him. We tucked ourselves into a quiet corner booth, and I leaned in to say something flirty, probably silly when I felt it. That eerie, unmistakable jolt in your gut that tells you someone's watching. I turned my head on. There he was, Evan, sitting 2 tables away. He hadn't spotted me yet. He was smiling, talking animatedly with his boss and a woman I didn't recognize, and he looked genuinely happy. I hadn't seen that lightness in him for months. My stomach dropped. My mouth went bone dry. Nathan noticed my sudden stillness. "Everything okay?" he asked. "I need to use the restroom," I mumbled, standing up so abruptly I nearly knocked over my drink. I wove through the crowded bar and locked myself inside a bathroom stall. My thoughts were racing. Of all places, all nights, what were the odds? 2 tables away. I grabbed my phone and texted Evan, "How's dinner going?" A minute later, the typing dots appeared. "Yeah, just wrapping up. You know." I stared at the screen, heart hammering. I replied, "Same, heading out soon." I flushed the toilet just for effect and tried to collect myself before returning. When I stepped back out, Nathan immediately asked if I was all right. I forced a smile and said I had a headache and needed to call it a night. He offered to leave with me, but I told him no. I slipped out through a side exit and headed home alone. When I got home, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror for what felt like hours. I looked at myself. Reality looked. I saw guilt, confusion, a woman stuck between shame and something else I couldn't quite name. Was it fear, regret, or was it something deeper? Evan came home about an hour later. I was already in bed pretending to sleep. He kissed me on the forehead, just like he always did. I didn't close my eyes the entire night. The next morning I tried to act normal. Coffee, casual, small talk. He told me about his dinner, mentioned how his boss had introduced a new consultant to the team, said she was witty and sharp, said it was one of the best evenings he'd had in a while. I wanted to scream, not because of his words, but because I'd seen the truth on his face that night. That effortless joy, that spark I hadn't given him in a long time. The following week I avoided Nathan. Claimed work was too hectic. He seemed to understand and stopped reaching out. But the guilt didn't fade. It festered. Then, one afternoon, Evan texted me. "Feel like grabbing dinner tonight. Just us." I agreed too quickly. He took me to this cozy little restaurant we used to frick me before life got complicated. Candlelit, quiet, familiar. For the first time in a long while, he looked at me. Really looked at me. Not as the woman who forgot to load the dishwasher. Not as his wife out of routine. But as someone he used to admire. There was warmth in his eyes. But something else. Something sharper. Halfway through dessert he leaned forward and asked, "So, how was that other work dinner last week?" The air left my lungs. "What do you mean?" I tried to sound casual. He gently set his fork down. "Naomi, I saw you. You were 2 tables away." The silence was deafening. I started, but no words came. "You were in that red dress," he said. "With him? You didn't even try to hide it." Tears welled in my eyes. "Why didn't you say anything?" He shrugged. "I wanted to see if you'd tell me." I gave it a day, then another. A week, nothing. I was scared. I whispered of me, of what it meant, of what I've done, of what we've both been pretending not to see. He nodded slowly, like he already knew the answers. I reached for his hand. He let me take it. "I didn't sleep with him," I said. voice trembling. But I can't pretend it didn't mean something. I made a mistake. He really studied me. I didn't confront you, he said quietly, because part of me wasn't sure I still mattered enough for you to care. That shattered me. I do care, I said, my voice cracking. More than you realize. I felt invisible, like I'd disappeared. He looked down, blinking fast. So did I. We sat there, both of us stripped raw, vulnerable in a way we hadn't been in years. I don't know what comes next. Maybe therapy, maybe painful, honest conversations, maybe just time. But I do know one thing. That night, when I told a half-truth and walked into that bar, I thought I had control. I thought I could chase a small thrill and still come home to my stable life untouched. But life has a way of sitting 2 tables away, just close enough to remind you. Secrets rarely stay hidden, especially when love is still watching.